Hello and welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage, on what's going to be a stormy Wednesday afternoon, July 31st, 2024. I shot a video yesterday about the Autool CT160 fuel injector cleaner, and I mentioned I have a box of used injectors here somewhere, but I happened to be out in the shed earlier and I have a complete intake manifold. This is actually probably more efficient anyway because on my spare time I can clean it all up and just plop this onto whatever engine I choose to run, but it has a full set of injectors and it's 100% complete. It's drive-by cable, has all the little things intact like the pressure regulator, vacuum line. Still has a couple of chopped off fuel lines, power brake hose, everything. So I'll pop the rail off and take the injectors out, and according to this it says it runs good, 2001 5.3. I don't know whose handwriting that is. I don't remember where I got the intake, but that doesn't really matter. So I'm going to pop at least 4 of the injectors out and we can go play with them in the fuel injector cleaner. To get the injectors out, in the car you'd have to bleed off the fuel. There's a Schrader valve on this side, on the rail right there. You know, poke the inside of it into a rag, catch the, blast the fuel pressure, unclip the lines. There's a clip on either side, and then you need the tool to release the internal little blades inside the fuel lines, pressure and return. And then there's just 4 bolts on the rails and the whole thing, the crossover tubes right here. You pick it right off. Pop out the 4 8mm headed bolts. Move all the stuff out of the way. Get the pressure regulator, vacuum line off. Stuff out of the way. Leaves you with the rack of injectors. Each injector has a little metal clip. Pop that off and wiggle out an injector. The order doesn't really matter. Try not to break the clip or I'll be looking for another fuel rail to get the clip off of. Just a horseshoe arrangement. And a little wiggle. Try not to squirt yourself in the eye in case there's still fuel in it. Tight. Perhaps the rag would be safer. Maybe a little bit of lube. Ooh, let's try this brake. Get the O-ring lubed up a little bit. That's better. And there's nothing but white corrosion. That's the screen side, so that's why I don't want to fire up the injector. So each GM injector has a part number on it. I'll Google that right now when I shut the camera off. It's probably going to be a 27 pound per hour injector, but let's find out. So I took the 4 out of the rail. I just took some brake clean. Brake clean. Brake parts cleaner. I'm just spraying through this still has the cap on the injector. Spraying down through the injector, and this is the brown goop that's coming out. I scraped out the screen portion. I can remove that, I'm pretty sure. I know I have because I've done it before. But just for kicks right now, I'm just blowing it backwards through the little tiny hole. I should have my glasses on, yeah, so I won't squirt myself in the eye, but that is gross. Getting better. There you go. Nasty. So I started the cleaning process just by taking the injectors over to the wash tank and washing off the outside. That made the part number clear as a bell. There's actually a QR code on there too. When I look up the number, It's listed at a 22-pound injector at 43.5 pounds. I know the pressure regulator on that truck rail is probably 59 pounds. Maybe that's why they rated it 27 pounds in a different application. So it's somewhere between 22 and 27 pounds. That's fine. I went ahead and found the right adapters for my spray bar, and I'm undecided, or I was undecided whether I was going to try testing them, or do I want to start with the ultrasonic. I know because I've been sitting around, you can tell by the results of this rag, that's just me spraying it out both directions through the injector. Then I think I'll start with the ultrasonic cleaning, and then I'll put them in the tester. So I rigged up the wiring, not super impressed. I mean, it's universal, so fits, nothing well and some things not at all. I can see if this thing pans out, getting the little adapter harnesses and making it plug right in, so you're not messing around. But I don't believe the coils on the injectors are polarity sensitive. I just went ahead and, they're marked red and black. I put the red nearest the latch for the plug and did them all the same. And let's put them in and see what happens. It's simple as that. So I'm gonna put them in the thing, half submerge them, turn on the ultrasonic. I gave it 10 minutes of ultrasonic cleaning, and then I just moved the injectors forward, hooked them to the spray bar. I'm getting used to messing around with the little wires. All they are is basically a spade, and the female spade is, they give you a large and a small female spade. You can just individually poke them over the leads or the blades on the injector itself. And at this height, it's actually easier than trying to fumble around with it in your hand. I'm learning as I go. The injector just sits on this little metal piece they give you. These are capped injectors, and it kind of fits in there. Tighten up the knob, tighten up the hose. Like I say, the wiring connects right here. And in the future, like I mentioned already, I'm gonna buy the little, get an EV6 and an EV1 adapter. That's the most popular stuff I'm gonna deal with. And I'll be able to connect it that way. So I dumped in the mineral spirits about 3/4 of the way up the sight glass. I plugged it in. It was already plugged in when I was doing the ultrasonic. I guess this is all intuitive. There's your pulse width adjustment. The timer, every operation has a different time. These three, that arrow means go, that means pause, that means clear, I believe. And over here, the up and down, these are all the functional tests. And this is your fuel pressure. That tells you right here. Well, this half anyway. Ultrasonic and fuel injector clean. I'm going to put my glasses on because I'm at eye level. Just as soon not lose an eye. And power. That's promising. 3 out of the 4 squirted. And one of the injectors, when I was squirting the brake clean through it, it's kind of hard to get. I'm spraying the capped end, the intake manifold end. And it's a mess when you're doing it, but 3 of them flowed out brown liquid. One didn't allow me to get any liquid through it, I guess. So if that's any indication, well, let's just see what happens. So let's pick a test. I don't need ultrasonic cleaning, so idling test, that seems pretty safe. So 1 minute, and the pulse width is 1.9. I don't know what that means. I'm just going to kind of stand back a little bit, see what happens. Okay, I'm going to adjust my fuel pressure to 60 psi, 59, right there. 3 of them are working, this one isn't, so I'm going to shut it off for a second, change the wires around. The wires are just on or off, all of them. They're all tied together, I believe, so let's shut her off. And I have this in drain, so it's not going to fill up. Let's try that. So off. Give me a second while I mess around with the wiring. All right, fire 2. I'm less scared of it now anyway. Nope. Well, that's disappointing. Well, I guess it pinpoints I have a bad injector. Well, it's still plugged. I don't think it's bad. But let's continue to test these 3. So let's stop this. Let's pick a different test. Okay, wait a minute. Maybe that. Okay, you gotta do that first. So medium speed. Let's see what happens there. Ooh. Again, I'm still draining it. I'm not collecting yet, so they look pretty even. Let's try a different test. High speed. Not sure I'm totally impressed with the spray pattern, but they're all kind of the same. Could have a lot to do with the cap. Accelerating test. This should be interesting. Idling. I don't see a whole lot of accelerating yet. Yeah, I guess it's picking up, but not what I expected, really. Yeah, that's only so-so. Shifting, let's try that one. Oops. Again, you're playing with this live just like I am. There's no pulse width, so I know what that means. Okay. I'll have to read the instructions if it tells me anything. I think this whole thing's more intuitive. The translation may not be, you know, exact. So let's kill that one. Leak check. This one's just put pressure on and not cycle the injector. So let's try that. Yeah, pump is up. Nobody's dripping. That's good. Value tests must be with a, let's go to a high-speed value test. Let's go right to high speed. Let's close this. And I guess you get to a certain point and you quit. Okay. They're all very similar. This one's slightly less, but I see the injector's spraying a little bit up here. It must not have a clear path. So that's not totally fair, but it's about 14, 14 and a half, and 14 and a half. So very close. I don't think in the real world you'd probably tell the difference. So we can drain it. So I have 3 working injectors. That's, at least we know. I'd have to call those usable. I had some thoughts about, there's an O-ring, upper and lower. When I get, I'm probably gonna have to go get more than 8 injectors if I can't free up this one. And with my goal of coming up with a set of 8, and hopefully if I can keep 8 in the rotation ready to go, maybe 16, depending on how many I get. I got a lot of them sitting around here. You know, it may, very real possibility, may have to break up sets just to make 8 injectors. But when I get 8 good injectors, I think I was doing some online shopping, and I can buy new O-rings, upper and lower, genuine GM, for about $15 to $20, depending on where they are. That's a whole set for 8 injectors. Once again, you know, the internet pirates, being what they are, will use the GM part number for the seal kit that'll do a whole set of injectors, and they're selling you a lesser product for $8 or $10. And when you get looking at where either the country of origin or the seller, you can pretty much believe it's not genuine GM. So there's a lot of that goes around, unfortunately. So I'm gonna call it a success, I guess. I'm more intrigued as to what's wrong with that one injector, but at least I have some knowledge instead of just looking at a pile of them and wondering what's going to happen when I go ahead and put them in the vehicle. So I guess this will be my method, and next time you see that intake manifold, it'll be all clean with hopefully 8 functioning injectors. So whatever engine I choose, if I'm going to run that intake, I can put it right on there and you know, recycle the next one. So have a nice evening. I'll talk to you soon.